Manchester City 0, Tottenham 3. Manchester City 0, Spurs 3. Do you hear me? Do you understand me? Do you comprehend what I'm saying? I don't usually speak too tough on these two teams because, for different reasons, there isn't almost beef with City. There isn't really rivalry, but they're title contenders, so I'm keeping a close eye on them. All four of them eyes on them. And then with Tottenham, there's a cap, there's a ceiling to how far they'll go, purely because at the very least, their transfer strategy can be stinky, as we've seen in the last couple of days. But just because it's a title contender, and that's the talk I am involved in my opinion, Chelsea. And also, just because I cussed Tottenham to the side camera a couple of days ago, I really cussed, I really crucified, I really came crazy on you. Pause. I'm gonna talk today about that performance. That's the Tottenham camera, and this is the City one. You disgraceful today. Disgraceful. Listen, it's game week 2. Everybody can have their funk. But Tottenham at home, a Tottenham team with Maddison injured, a Tottenham team with Kulusevski injured, a Tottenham team with Solanke, £65 million striker, still coming back from and on the bench. A Tottenham team that missed out on Eze and Gibbs-White this summer. A Tottenham team with a new manager that is bedding in new ideologies and instructions. You have lost, not only lost, I'm going to give Tottenham their credit in the other camera very soon, but you have lost. And not only have you lost Manchester City, you have been absolutely battered, blammed, bamboozled, bruised, booted. I cannot quite believe what I've watched. Honestly, I predicted a 2-1 City win. I thought it would be a close game. I knew Thomas Frank, or as Expressions calls him, Thomas the Frank engine. I knew that he would come correct with his tactics and he would bring a really good, kind of pragmatic, deep block when need to be and press and all the right triggers and moments. Remember that Brentford win at the Eithad a couple of years ago with Ivan Toney? That's the kind of manager you're dealing with here. He's very tactically astute. He's very tactically flexible. He got different systems and different strokes for different folks. So I'm not expecting a blamming or a battering. But with City, with all of those options out on that pitch, for all of them to be silenced, like Oprah Winfrey, silenced. Were you silenced or were you silent? Cherky, Reinders, Gonzalez in midfield, all of them dominated from start to finish. We didn't really see much of Hairline. He had a few headers, he had a few opportunities, but nowhere near as many as he would have wanted, right? And then whether it was Oscar Bob, who had a bright start, Mamouche, bright-ish start, both of them very lively, very wiry, very intense in their approach in the first maybe 5-10 minutes. But again, were you silent or were you silenced? Because Tottenham, and I don't want to do this because it's disgusting, but fair play. That was a really strong performance. That's the type of performance that if Arsenal put in, if Liverpool put in, if Chelsea put in, we're talking, wow, that's a statement. That's the statement of title contenders. That's the statement of potential champions. That's a big boy performance. That had everything. That was balanced. That was tactically on point from the manager. The midfield was packed. You bullied the midfield. The players that I spoke about on City's side, it was bullied. You won your duels. When you lose a duel, you are upset. You won all of your duels. 50-50s were 60-40s, 70-30s, 80-20s. Tottenham, they pressed. Obviously, both teams pressed, and we saw that in the opening stages. City had to try and bypass Tottenham's press, which was really intense with Richarlison leading it. Kudus worked his absolute arse off. We can talk about Kudus' quality, and we can talk about, this is why Chelsea were interested, tried to put in a little Dewsbury Hall. Obviously, we got Esteval on that side. We got other options. It is what it is. You can't have everybody. What a player Kudus is. Scaling up from West Ham. Didn't get loads of GA. Didn't necessarily be consistent last season. Obviously, maybe motivational issues there because of the way that West Ham are as a club at the moment where they are down in the doldrums. But that brother is scaling up. He's gone into a better team, and look at that performance. Look at the ball carrying. Look at the vision. Look at the crossing ability. Look at the end product. And then the work rate. Up and down that flank, helping Pedro Porro, who we know defensively is far weaker and got skinned a couple of times in comparison to Spence on the other side, who was absolutely incredible. And I have said on the Big Six a few times, I think Spence could go for an England place. He's not going to get ahead of Reece James. Trent obviously is defensively suspect, but he's a baller. But I think you've got to find a way to get Spence in there, even if it's like I don't know if you can have 5 fullbacks, but you've got Lewis Hall and you've got Lewis Skelly, but you got to find a way for Spence. Spence defensively, in a final, in the last 10, 15 minutes, you're going to want him and Reece James as your fullback options over all the other guys I've mentioned. Because defensively, Spence is clear of all of those guys, bar Reece James. That's how good Spence is defensively. That 1v1 lock up there, fantastic. Over a very talented Oscar Bob. And then, like I said, Mamouche, these guys, they had a few little glimpses, a few little glimmers in the first half. But Tottenham, it's the first time in a very long time I've looked at a Tottenham performance and thought, that's the kind of performance that I would actually definitely trade my team to. I'd like my team to go to the Eithad next time they go there and play like that. Like, I'm sure Arsenal fans, as much as they hate you, Liverpool fans, as much, they'll say, do you know what? You see that blueprint that they just put up there? We'll take that. We'll definitely take that to the cleaners because it was balanced. Defensively, people were putting their bodies on the line. People were making great clearances. People were timing their challenges to perfection. Van der Ven in the box, last ditch slide tackle, on point. Romero booked when he probably shouldn't have been. Again, on point again, touch tight to Haaland, following him into midfield. On point again. Vicario, you know. Everybody back there, bar Porro, who had a little couple of moments. But again, even Porro's delivery. Look at the crosses. This guy is a wing back from Sporting Lisbon. Look at the deliveries. Look at the crossing abilities. This is not a Tottenham team that defensively have got bad players. I said I would have taken Romero at Chelsea. I said it. And people were like, that's a bit strange. He's a good player. Van der Ven, good player. They've got good players. It's the tactics, it's the approach. And we've seen it ourselves with Pochettino, record goals conceded in a Premier League campaign in our history, to go to Maresca, who's tightened up the defense and really, battened down the hatches. This is an impressive, balanced performance. I'm going to keep it a buck. It was impressive. It was balanced going forward on the transitions, on the counters. Brennan Johnson, I call him Johnsons and Johnsons. I know the baby lotion, when, we really shouldn't be making those type of references at this current climate in the world we live in. But listen, Johnsons and Johnsons. That's what it is. Johnsons and Johnsons, because one Johnson is an eyesore, is frustrating, is annoying, is sending Tobes to Pluto, and then the other Johnson is bagging and putting the ball in the back of the net. And Paulinha also bagged as well, of course, with his goal. And again, defensively, we know what Paulinha does. Just sweeps, just cleans, just literally just wraps things up and puts it in a bow. You're not going to get expansive passing. You're not going to get, incredible dictating of tempo, but you're going to get someone who just does the ugly part of the game to a T. He mops up, he wins the ball back, he makes his presence felt, and he keeps it stepping. That performance from front to back, from possession, when they needed to have the ball, they had it. Transition, when they needed to counter, they countered. The only thing Tottenham will probably say is we should have had another goal. Someone in the Big Six chat said, we could talk about Old Trafford with the leaks, but what about the New Trafford? It's not my words. It's not me. I didn't say it. Don't shoot the messenger. I did not say it. But boy, oh boy, City looked incredibly uncomfortable back there, whether it was Tottenham pressing. How many times did Tottenham press them into mistakes? This is a blueprint, guys, that we must all look at and say, yo, we might have to have that. They pressed the living daylights out of them. That pass, that option that he picked to go to Gonzalez when he could have gone long to Haaland. This is where Pep has got to, or these players have got to start making their own decisions and using their own brains. How are you playing that ball to Gonzalez for the second goal? How are you playing that ball to Gonzalez when Haaland is literally, I was shouting, Haaland is 1v1 on the other end of the pitch, just beyond the halfway line, and he's isolated, he's detached, he's got that motor, he's got that pace, he's got that break. Hit him. We saw it at Dortmund. Hit him. Go long. Make him get in a foot race with that defender. Argy-bargy, shoulder to shoulder. But they try and play out. They get caught. Tottenham's press is on point. And then it all just comes into a kerfuffle. And next thing you know, it's the second. And it's just, for me, it's like, I'm very interested to see with City, this defense. I've spoken about Out-Nori, who went injured. He's got a little bit of a, defensive lapse, and he's not the best 1v1 there. You go to the right-hand side, you're playing Rico Lewis, who defensively, again, is not the greatest, and Matheus Nunes is a midfielder. And you go to those centre-backs, and they're all very injury-prone, and they're all very susceptible to injuries and being in and out. Stones, Ake, he came back in today, Diaz. This is why, I know City battered Wolves, and everybody was like, ratted. But listen, this is why I had, in my predictions, City third, because I just think that defence is a little bit shaky-quaky. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to be reactionary. They've got great players. They've got great talent. They've got Reinders, who was missing today, but, the be-all and end-all is he's a very good player. But I'm just very shocked and surprised by City's performance today in terms of how bad they were. I knew it would be tight. I knew it would be, on an edge. But I did not expect them to get absolutely battered in every single department almost in this match. So, listen, it's Tottenham, you know what I'm saying? You got to give credit to the performance. You got to take the hat off to them and say, do you know what? As much as we hate you, as much as, you know, we say into this camera, what do you think of Tottenham? What do you think of shit? That's all right. We could do that all day. And we will continue to, because we know Tottenham, they'll play Bournemouth next week and they probably won't win. They probably won't win, right? But let's be keeping it $100, $100 buckaroonies. That Thomas Frank guy is a really, really good coach. That's where I'm going to end this. That is a Thomas the Tank Engine, Thomas the Frank Engine, Thomas Frank masterclass. Big up expressions. Masterclass, right? Same way we said Mourinho masterclass when we went to City and won. Same way we could go Conte masterclass when we went. That is a Thomas Frank masterclass. What a coach. He's been scaled up. He's been given that opportunity. And what he's been able to conjure and get together there is, you know, in that short space of time, is you have to take your hat off to him. So listen, that's my thoughts and feelings on the matter. Shocking day for Man City. At least we can say, as title rivals, that at least City drop points, but no one ever likes to see Tottenham win. So I always repeat the phrase, and I'll say it again. I don't know who won, but I know who lost. That might just be the title. In a bit, people. Peace.